I never thought I'd find myself sharing something so personal, but it feels like a weight I can't carry alone anymore. Maybe writing it down and hearing another perspective will help me make sense of it all. My wife and I have been married for 5 years. I always believed our marriage was grounded in honesty, respect, and the kind of communication that builds unshakable trust. At least, that's what I thought. Until 7 months ago when she revealed something that almost shattered me. At the time, she was 4 months pregnant with our first child, a boy we had long prayed for. After nearly a year of trying, we were overjoyed when it finally happened. Everything about her pregnancy had gone smoothly, and we spent countless evenings tossing around baby names. I leaned toward honoring my grandfather, who had practically raised me after my father walked out. She didn't seem to oppose it, so I assumed that's the direction we were heading. Then, one evening over dinner, she nervously asked, "What do you think about the name Tyler?" Her tone carried something I couldn't quite place. Before I even had the chance to answer, she took a shaky breath and confessed, it was the name of her ex-boyfriend. I almost choked. My first reaction was disbelief, anger even. Who suggests naming their son after someone they once loved? It felt wrong, almost like a betrayal. I snapped without meaning to, asking if she was serious. But she stayed firm, only saying, "It's important to me." Her insistence left me confused and suspicious. Was she still holding on to feelings for him? Were they in touch behind my back? I hated myself for even thinking it, but I couldn't help spiraling. Every time I tried to get answers, she would cry or shut down, and I was left with more questions than before. The distance between us grew so obvious that even family noticed. At one dinner with my mother, the subject of names came up casually. My wife immediately blurted out Tyler. My mother asked why, and my wife simply said, "It has special meaning." That night, on the drive home, I lost my patience. I told her this was our child, not just hers, and that I deserved to know why she was clinging to that name. She pulled the car over, looked at me with tears brimming in her eyes, and finally revealed what she had been hiding. "Tyler saved my life," she whispered. "And he's gone." Then came the story of a man I had never really known existed. During her sophomore year of college, she had been in a serious relationship with Tyler. Not long into their time together, he was diagnosed with leukemia. Even as his body deteriorated, he kept fighting. She stayed by his side through chemo, hospital visits, nights of exhaustion and despair. One night, as they drove home from an appointment, a truck blew through a red light and headed straight for them. Despite being weak from treatments, Tyler grabbed the wheel and turned the car so the crash struck his side instead of hers. He died instantly. She survived with minor injuries. Later, doctors confirmed what she already knew, that he had knowingly given his life for her. As if that wasn't heartbreaking enough, she told me the cancer had advanced more than they'd realized. He likely only had months left anyway, but it didn't change what he had done in that final moment. Her voice broke as she said, "He knew he was dying, but he still saved me." For years, she had buried that night deep inside, carrying the guilt of being alive when he wasn't. Meeting me, she said, had finally helped her step out of that shadow and start anew. But as we prepared to welcome our child, she felt compelled to honor the man who had made her future, our future, possible. I spent days wrestling with her confession. I searched online and found archived articles about the crash. Everything matched her story. I learned more about Tyler too, how he volunteered at children's hospitals, spending time with kids who were fighting battles like his own. He used what little life he had left to give joy to others. That knowledge softened me. A week later, I invited her to lunch. When she arrived, I handed her a small box. Inside was a custom keychain engraved with the name Tyler. She froze, her hands shaking as she held it. "I've been thinking," I told her. "Tyler would be a wonderful name for our son." She burst into tears right there in the restaurant. Between sobs she asked if I was sure. What about my grandfather's name? I told her we'd use it for the middle name, Tyler James. It sounded perfect. From then on, something shifted between us. She began opening up more about her past, telling me stories about Tyler, some sweet, some gut-wrenching. Instead of feeling threatened, I found myself appreciating the depth of her resilience, the love she was capable of, and the scars she carried quietly all these years. When our son was born 2 months later, I was the one who filled out the birth certificate. Writing Tyler James felt right. My wife wept with gratitude, but this time they were healing tears. A few weeks later, we visited my grandfather, placing his great-grandson, his namesake, in his arms. Watching him cradle the baby, I felt the threads of life tying past and present together. When I explained the full story of the name, my grandfather listened closely before nodding. "That young man had the kind of character worth remembering," he said. "Your boy has big shoes to fill. But with parents like you two, I think he'll do just fine." Just yesterday, we received a package from Tyler's parents. After our son's birth, my wife had reached out to them. Inside was a hand-sewn baby blanket and a letter that left both of us in tears. They wrote about how much it meant to them that their son's memory lived on through ours, and expressed their wish to meet our little Tyler someday. We're planning a visit next month. My wife is nervous, but I can see how much this step means to her, bringing the past and present together, at last in peace. It hasn't been easy. There were moments when my own jealousy and fear threatened to ruin us. But I'm grateful I chose to listen instead of lash out. Our son may bear the name of a man I never met, but when I look at him, I don't see my wife's old love. I see the future we're building together. Love is complicated. It doesn't always fit into neat boxes. Sometimes it extends beyond time, connecting the living to those who came before. One day, when our son is old enough, I'll tell him the truth about his name. Not because his mother couldn't let go of the past, but because there are people in this world whose sacrifices deserve to be remembered. As I finish writing this, my son is asleep in my arms. His tiny chest rises and falls, and I can't help but think. His name carries not just history, but hope.